This is rental car number 105, and today I'm driving the 2019 Hyundai Elantra SEL. This is a four-door sedan that retails for about $19,000. Under the hood, you get a 2-liter four-cylinder engine, has a 6-speed automatic transmission with Shiftronic technology. If you know what Shiftronic means, don't worry about it. This is Hyundai's marketing term that basically means you can shift the gears manually by first popping the gear shift over to the left and then pressing up or down to change the gears. This vehicle has 147 horsepower. It may not seem like a lot, but when you shift the vehicle into sport mode, you really do get a tremendous boost in acceleration. It's probably the most noticeable on any vehicle I've ever had. Honestly, it changes this car from a pretty decent sedan into something really fun to drive. Sport mode, though, is going to eat into your miles per gallon. When you have it in normal mode, this car gets 28 miles per gallon in the city, 37 on the highway with a 14-gallon fuel tank. Gas by me is about $2.79 a gallon right now, so that means, at least if you're living by me, you can fill this thing up for about $39. All right, so now that we got the specs out of the way, let's talk about what it's like to actually drive this vehicle. Handling is really nice in the Elantra. I felt really tight around all the corners, especially those long ones on the interstate, and it feels stable at pretty much any speed, although I only got this one up to about 85 miles an hour, and that was a mistake. I had the thing in sport mode, I was cruising along the interstate, and I just wasn't paying attention how fast I was going. Acceleration is also nice. I mentioned before that sport mode really does ramp this thing up and make it a lot more fun to drive. Car and Driver claims on their site that you can go 0 to 60 in the Elantra in 7.8 seconds, and that it has a top speed of 120 miles an hour. I got nowhere near those numbers. I am not the right person to talk about that kind of stuff, but just know, I felt really good driving this vehicle.
So you get an actual key on this vehicle. Here's what it looks like. Well, you do get a key fob. I actually have two, since this is a rental. 3 buttons on the front. Lock, unlock, and your trunk release with a panic button on the back along with Hyundai's logo. Car starts up just like you'd expect it. No real surprises here. Let's quickly take a look at the steering wheel setup. You get a number of buttons on here and then some nice silver and black accents down below. On the left-hand side, you have your volume rockers, along with controls to interact with your phone and the center display over here on the console. On the right-hand side, you have a menu button along with your cruise controls. Now, this menu button and this toggle switch right here interact with the screen up here in the gauge cluster. So this is really my only criticism about this setup. The button on the left controls the screen on the right. The button on the right controls the screen kind of on the left. Up top, as I'm showing you, you have a gauge cluster. Nice setup, 2 dials, and then a big screen in the center. I'm going to cycle through the screen settings using this button right here, and you'll see that you can see some information about the vehicle. The menu structure is really organized well, so it's easy to find what you're looking for quickly and turn it on or off. And then in the main screen right here, you can cycle through what drive mode you're in, your fuel economy, your trip counter, and a digital speedometer. It's also nice to see that up top, see that icon for gas. That's how long you have until you go empty. And then down below, you also have a thermostat and then your odometer. So pretty nice setup all in all. Over to the left of the steering wheel setup, all your standard buttons are here. Window controls, door locks, mirror controls to adjust the side view mirrors. And then up top on the dash, you have a couple more buttons. This switch right here controls the brightness of the display up in here. You also have a button to turn on and off your blind side detection, and that's a setting up here in the side view mirror that we'll go over in a second, but this turns it on and off. And then you also have lane detection on this vehicle, lane departure detection, excuse me. Essentially what that means is that the vehicle is going to nudge you back in your lane if you start to drift out. There's an icon up here on the dash. Once it's green, you know the car can actually see the lines in the road. So for example, up ahead you see 2 white lines on either side. I'm in a large truck parking space right now. If we were driving and the vehicle was sensing the lanes, the icon would turn green, and then if I wasn't paying attention and I drifted slightly out of the lane, well, the car is actually going to push me back into the lane and help me stay in my lane and stay safe. It's It's a cool feature to play around with at first, but quite honestly, it gets a little bit annoying, but that's just my opinion. Last button over here is your traction control. You can turn it on and off by pressing that button. So, side view mirrors, as I mentioned, have blind side detection. Let me open the window so I can show you a little bit better. So you have an icon right here, and it's going to glow orange when a car is in your blind spot. And then if you attempt to change lanes, so if you turn on your turn signal, and there's someone in your blind spot, the vehicle's going to beep at you, just to let you know that it's probably not a good idea to merge at that point. And you do have that feature also on the right-hand side, the side view mirror. Up top, you have two large lights to illuminate the cabin and a sunglass holder. There's also a rear view mirror with no buttons on it of any kind, so there's no garage door settings or automatic dimmer feature. You do have the normal sort of toggle switch, though it's hard to see. This is actually a lot smaller than it is on most vehicles, which I find mildly interesting. Down below you have a very nice center display, great colors with large icons. I had no trouble at all connecting my phone via Bluetooth, and there's plenty of stuff on here to play around with. You do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay automatically loaded, along with some other nice apps to play around with. Down below you have a dial to adjust the volume, also tune the radio, and then buttons right here to help you quickly jump to all the settings in this screen. So for example, if you want to go home, press the home button. You can turn on the radio by just pressing that button. Let's turn that off, and then go to your media. Right now I have my phone connected and an audiobook playing. So let's pause that. Below there are the climate controls, 3 nice sized dials. Although these are plastic, they do feel like they're made out of quality materials, and they have kind of a rubbery feel on top. I had no problems getting the car to a decent temperature while I was driving. And then you have buttons to turn on and off everything else that's important for the climate, along with your hazard button right on top. Down below there you have a storage feature. I'm actually a big fan of Hyundai's sort of setup down here. I'm going to pull the gear shift back so we make some room. So you have 2 power ports here, although you will need an adapter, along with a USB port and an auxiliary port, and then a nice area to keep your cell phone. Behind there is the gear shift, wrapped in soft leather, shifts through those gears real nicely, and I like that there's different lights when you put it into reverse. So if you see, that is a red LED, park is a blue LED, neutral's blue, and drive is blue. A little bit further back you have old-fashioned handle parking brake, 2 cup holders, drinking kombucha today, and then behind there you have a small storage space right here. Nothing too exciting down in there, no power ports, USB ports of any kind, just a small storage space. Over on the passenger side we have our glove box. This car is brand new, so we still have all kinds of notices stuck to it everywhere. Storage in here is, I'd say average. It's a nice size space, and Enterprise was nice enough to leave me a couple of owner's manuals. Alright, I've jumped in the back seat. You'll notice that there's some decent leg room back here. I have the driver's seat pushed back a pretty good distance because I'm 6 feet tall, and I still have plenty of room back here between my knees and the back of the seat is probably about 4 inches. Not too bad for a sedan like this. A couple of things I want to point out. The back of the seats is a hard plastic. You'll notice it's already getting scuffed up and kind of, I don't know, marked up a little bit, even though this car only has about 1,400 miles on it. So no pockets or anything back here. Also on the back of the center armrest for the front seat passengers, typically this is where you'll find vents or power ports, but there's nothing on the Elantra. What you do get are just your basic controls, window controls, and door locks. There is also no center armrest on this vehicle, which is kind of surprising. Car seat anchors are fairly shallow, so if you'll notice when I manipulate the seats just a little bit, you can start to see the car seat anchor. So it shouldn't be too difficult to install a car seat, although this could be a little bit better.
Alright, so that's basically all the major highlights inside the vehicle. Let's jump back outside for a second so we can pop open the trunk, take a look at the storage space back here. You do get a nice rectangular shape. The wheel wells don't infringe on the area too much, and underneath the floor of this area you do get a spare tire along with some extra room to keep some tools. It's also nice to see that by pulling on these 2 levers right here, you can collapse those rear seats down and kind of open up the trunk space into a larger section so that you can store some larger items. All right, so that's pretty much everything end to end on the 2019 Hyundai Elantra SEL. I don't know about you, but this is my type of vehicle. It's reasonably priced at $19,000, has some decent tech features, and drives pretty well. So I was pretty happy with it. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time when I rent and review my 106th rental car. I'll see you then.